This is how it works, chatters. You forgot he weaves for an hour, okay? He talks about how he won the election by numbers no one has ever seen before, okay? He's got quant. They're using the Hadron Collider to do computational processes no one's ever seen before to find numbers that do not exist in the textbooks to figure out what the margins of victory look like for me. Anyway, speaking of society becoming deeply unwell, here is our next president. Only 13 more days until he's officially the president, okay? Just so you understand. He delivered an incredible press conference at Mar-a-Lago this morning. And let me tell you, okay, he is, oh boy, you are not ready. Or you're thinking like, oh, I'm ready. I've heard Trump say a bunch of crazy stuff. Let me tell you, you are not. He's gearing up for some stuff, okay? You should keep a swear jar. Wait, what do you mean? Have I been cursing? I don't think I've been cursing. I've been pretty careful not to. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm never going to curse. I am going to curse. I'm going to curse, but not always.
Very respected gentleman. And I'm thrilled to announce today
I'll be back in a
that
second.
DMAC will be investing at least $20 billion over a very short period of time into the United States, and they may go double or even somewhat more than double that amount of money. It's a great thing, and I believe he will say that he's doing it because of the fact that he was very inspired by the election. They wouldn't do it without that election, I can tell you. A lot of people wouldn't. You saw last week where we have somebody who's going to go from $100 to $200 billion. And we have many other people, and we'll be bringing some of them out. Some of them like to do it somewhat more quietly, and some don't. And they feel so strongly about the country that they want to let people know about it. But it's an honor to have such a great investor investing in our country. The investment will support massive new data centers across the Midwest, the Sun Belt area, and also to keep America on the cutting edge of technology and artificial intelligence. He's very big into the data centers, and that's going to be a very hot item in the coming years, as you know, with AI. In particular, the first phase of the project will be in Texas, Arizona, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana, those places. And Hussein, I'd love you to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been amazing news for me and my family when he was elected in November. We've been waiting 4 years to increase our investments in U.S. to a very large amount of money. We are a company operating in more than 20 countries around the world. We have delivered more than 45,000 luxury units and another 45,000 in the pipeline. In data center, we are in 10 countries around the world, in Asia, Europe, and Middle East. And we're very, very excited now with his leadership and his open strategy and policy to encourage businesses to come to U.S. For the last 4 years, we've been waiting for this moment. And we're planning to invest $20 billion and even more than that if the opportunity in the market allow us. But at the moment, we're planning $20 billion in data center, catering for the AI and cloud business for the hyperscalers.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Great
President.
honor. Thank you very much. So nice. And that man knows what he's doing. He knows. So, Hussein, we're going to work with you and make sure everything goes smoothly. We have powers that haven't really been used in terms of environmental. If you invest over $1 billion in the United States, we're going to give expedited reviews to everybody because everyone's afraid they're going to come in and get caught in the quagmire, which is very prevalent in the United States, unfortunately, the quagmire of environmental and various other regulations and rules. And I made it a point of telling people if you invest $1 billion or more, and we'll do this for people with far less too, but we guarantee it. We're going to move them quickly through the environmental process. Sometimes people held up 12, 13, 14, 15 years. I saw it with plants in Louisiana where I got it approved in literally a week. They were through the review in 1 week after spending 14 and a half years trying to get it, and they were going nowhere. It was a terrible thing. So I've been a victim of that myself over the years, and I think I know all the games and all the tricks that are played, and much of it is.
Why is he not talking about the fog so far? He's talking about all this stuff, but like, why not the fog? What is he hiding? What is he hiding from us?
Don't get tied up for the rest of your life and you can't do anything. This commitment further underscores that many of the greatest business leaders on earth are seeing a very bright economic future for America since the election. As you know, a lot of positive things have happened. We are inheriting a difficult situation from the outgoing administration, and they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is continuing to rage.
Can you please try to not say God's name in vain as well? Oh, that's a good one. Good one, chatter.
And interest rates are far too.
Yeah, okay. Let's dial it back a bit. Why don't we? Okay. Let's dial it back a little bit.
Too high. And I've been disappointed to see the Biden administration's attempt to block the reforms of the American people and that they voted for. We had a landslide election. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of people. Nobody even knows how many people. Millions. And
nobody even knows how many people we won the popular vote by. It's such a high number that scientists are still trying to figure it out. Nobody knows, though.
They're still counting in some areas. You know, they're still counting the vote in some areas. Can you believe this? What a place. What a horrible place. One of the things we're going to do is we've got to fix the election so that we get honest counts and they get done by 10 o'clock in the evening or something thereabouts. They have places where they're still counting votes. President Biden's actions yesterday on...
He's going to fix it. There's no need to count it ever again. That's why I laugh when people are like, well, since Trump is going to be a lame duck president because he's a one-term president, and I'm always thinking to myself, are you sure about that? I thought we weren't going to have a need for elections any longer. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a one and done type situation. It's a one-off. You know, we did it. I voted, as we all did, for Donald Trump, as I told you to do so by consistently playing Yo voy a votar por Donald Trump, and we all voted por Donald Trump, and now that's it, one and done. It's king time now. America must restore the monarchy.
Offshore drilling, banning.
Bro, you're so libbed up right now. What? Yeah, I am. I'm so libbed up, I've decided I'm voting for Donald Trump. That's the maximalist liberal position, is like...
Offshore drilling will not stand. I will reverse it immediately. It'll be done immediately. And we will drill, baby, drill. And we're going to be drilling in a lot of other locations. And the energy costs are going to come way down. They'll be brought down to a very low level. And that's going to bring everything else down. That's what caused it to go up, along with the ridiculous spending on the Green New scam. All this money, trillions.
Yeah, it was crazy when we did the Green New scam. It was crazy. Remember when we did the Green New scam, dude? And hamburger was made illegal? Nandre was right. Yeah, never mind. This guy's anti-Semitic as hell. Told me he voted for Trump because he made his house cheaper. Disappointed in you. Hasan the Hun. Oh, freaking drink regular soda, man. It's because of the sparkling water rant.
Of dollars. It's like throwing it right out the window, what they're doing. And they're trying to spend so much now. They're just taking money and giving it to anybody that wants it for any project at all if it's certified under the Green New scam. And they don't work, and it's too expensive.
Oh, damn. That's a great one. I hate how he doesn't call it the Green New Steel. I think maybe there's a too positive of an association with Green New Steel. Maybe that's why. Because it's like, oh, it's a steel, you know? Like, that could be positive. Like, oh, it's basically a steal. You might as well do it. That type of situation. That's why he's saying Green New Scam. Even though I do like Green New Steel. But I guess it's also kind of close to Stop the Steal. You don't want to confuse these guys, you know? They don't have a lot going on up there.
And, you know, they told me that we're going to do everything possible to make this transition to the new administration, very smooth. It's not smooth because they're doing that. They're playing with the courts, as you know. They've been playing with the courts for 4 years, probably got me more votes because I got the highest number of votes ever gotten by a Republican, by far, actually, by a lot. And, you know, we had a great election, so I guess it didn't work. But even to this day, they're playing with the courts. They have their friendly judges that like to try and make everybody happy on the Democrat side. It's called lawfare. It's called weaponization of justice, and it's happened at a level nobody's ever seen before. So many.
It's true.
I defeated deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged individual. I guess he's on his way back to The Hague, and we won those cases. Those were the biggest ones, and the press made such a big deal out of him. But
it's true. He was deranged. He was so deranged, dude. My goat. He won. Teflon Don.
Nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong on anything, and the people saw that. You know, when they vote when a Republican, it's not easy for a Republican. When the Republican wins the popular vote by millions, and wins all 7 of the swing states, people said, "Well, he could win 4." We won all 7, and we won them by a lot. That tells you we won. That tells, and they've been watching this injustice. I call it the Injustice Department. What they've done is so bad. The whole world is
got him. I thought this was a press conference. Did you guys forget how Trump press conferences work? He just rambles on. Sorry. Question started 31:10. At 23:58, he says he will change the name of Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, that was amazing. This is how it works, chatters. You forgot he weaves for an hour, okay? He talks about how he won the election by numbers no one has ever seen before, okay? He's got quant. They're using the Hadron Collider to do computational processes no one's ever seen before to find numbers that do not exist in the textbooks to figure out what the margins of victory look like for me. That's right, quants. We're using AI to try to figure out the tremendous victory. They still haven't been able to count it. It's so tremendous.
Just watch that. And it took work, but it got me a lot of votes because when explained, I mean, we have a judge in New York who's a very crooked judge. I'm under a gag order. I can't even talk about aspects of the case that are the most vital aspects. I'm under a gag. Do you know that I'm the president-elect of the United States of America? I'm a former very successful president. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had borders that were sealed and beautiful. Everything was good. We had no wars. We defeated ISIS. We had no wars. Now I'm going into a world that's burning with Russia and Ukraine, with...
Mr. President, you said you defeated ISIS, and yet there was a ISIS-style attack on the first day of January. What's that about?
Israel, you took a look at that attack on October 7th, the attack on Israel, with the horrible way they got out. Not the fact that they got out. I would have been out before them, but we would have been out of Afghanistan with dignity and strength as opposed to looking like a bunch of fools with 13 dead and many, many badly, horrifically injured. Nobody ever talks about them. No arms, no legs. Nobody ever talks about them.
Oh, my God. Did Biden bring back ISIS? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I figured it out. Dark Brandon said, for my last trick, I'm bringing back ISIS. Oh, my God. Yusuf al-Bidan. Yeah.
Outrageous. Leaving.
On his way back, he restored the Islamic Caliphate. I will undermine it.
Billions of dollars of brand new military equipment that I bought in the hands of the Afghans and specifically the Taliban. It's the group. And we were doing very well. We would have been out. We would have been respected. I think it's one of the reasons it was so badly handled, that withdrawal, where people are jumping onto airplanes, falling off the sides of airplanes when they're 3,000 feet in the air. And nobody's ever seen anything like that, the worst. And because of that, I think Russia went and attacked Ukraine. When they saw that, they said, these guys are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. But we know what we're doing now. And that's going to all end. And we have a great military. I defeated ISIS. As you know, we're in no wars. I just finished a couple. And we got also our soldiers guarding Syria and Turkey. We're in the middle. We had 5,000 soldiers there. Would have been gobbled up with 2 armies. We had one army, 300,000. We had another one, 500,000 or 600,000, getting ready. We had 5,000 people in the middle. I said to a general, how do 5,000 people do in that case? And the general just looked at me and said, not well, sir, not well. And I took him out. And you know what happened? Nothing. I got criticized. I saved 5,000 lives, actually. And we did a great job, and we're going to do an even better job because now we have a tremendous amount of experience. We have people that I can rely on. But the 625 million acres. People can't realize it's like the whole ocean. Take an acre. You know, an acre, you have a house on a half an acre, on a quarter of an acre, or an acre. If you have an acre, you have a big deal. Now you multiply that by 625 million acres. It's like, feels like the whole ocean. And that's our strength, you know? People can say we manufacture, we don't manufacture. The thing we have oil and gas more than anybody in the world. We're going to have more of it, too. But they took away 625 million acres of offshore drilling. Nobody else does that. And they think they have it, but we'll put it back. I'm going to put it back on day one. I'm going to have it revoked on day one. We'll go immediately if we need to. I don't think we should have to go to the courts, but if we do have to go to the courts, you know, they try to be sneaky. They go in and they sign. Remember, this is a man that said he wants the transition to be smooth. Well, you don't do the kind of things. You don't have a judge working real hard to try and embarrass you, because I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did nothing, absolutely nothing.
What do you mean? First of all, I don't think Brandon has any control over anything. He barely has control over his own bowels, okay? Let alone like district court judges and the way that they're operating currently. That's number one. Number two, virtually every part of the legal battles that Donald Trump withstood and won, they're all packing it up. They're all packing it up. They're all like, yeah, my bad. Actually, we were wrong. We were wrong to come after you. My bad. It's all packed up. It's done. So what is he still complaining about?
Nothing wrong. If I did something wrong, I wouldn't be standing here right now, because I've won all these cases. Nobody's ever won so many cases as I have against the Justice Department. I mean, Jack Smith had cases all over the place.
Yeah, also, this is a good point as well. Dude, I hate liberals so much. They go on and on about how they certified the election for him perfectly and how they followed the rules perfectly, expecting Republicans to acknowledge them. And here Trump is still saying that they're being corrupt. These losers will never learn. 100%. 100%. Like, liberals have been doing victory laps about how good they are. How good they are at certifying elections. Meanwhile, Trump is still over here being like, they're coming after me. We have to kill them. We have to kill all of them dead. I will put them in the machine. I will put them in the contraption. I will harm them.
As people were being subpoenaed, lives were being ruined. They were spending everything they had, money. We were helping them out. We had to. They were subpoenaing people that had no idea what they were even talking about. That's a sick group of people. And it was all to influence the election. It was all a fight against a political opponent. We've never had that in this country. We have had that in certain countries. We've had that in third-tier countries. We've had that in banana republics, but we've never had that in a place like the United States. I don't even know if it's been on a small level. I'm sure it has been on a small level, but this was the largest level ever. They brought this moron out of The Hague. He's a mean guy. He's a mean, nasty guy. His picture was perfect, because you look at his picture, you say, that's a bad guy with his robe, his purple robe. And he executes people. He shouldn't be allowed to execute people, because he'll execute everybody. He's a nut job. But we won all of those cases with him. And, I mean, I don't know the judge in Florida, but we had a brilliant judge in Florida that saw right through it.
Wait, what do you mean? That was your judge. Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant judge in Florida, because she's defending me.
And we won the case. She was a brilliant judge with great courage. You know, the left, as we call them, the radical left, they have a way, they play the ref, and they play it very hard. They play the...
I appointed her into her position, and she has been playing ball. So, of course, she is brilliant. Best judge of all time.
Ref. They go and say horrible things about judges and prosecutors. And some judges and prosecutors say, look, the only way I'm going to get these people off my back is to give victory to them. They're playing the ref. I think it's illegal what they do. It's almost like talking. It's worse than talking to a judge. But the judge in Florida, Judge Cannon, was brilliant and tough, and she didn't stand for it. And
Yeah.
I don't know her.
Dude, I don't even know. What is her name? Cannon? I guess it's Cannon. I just said it. I don't know. I don't know her name.
And never met her until the case, and I don't believe I said even one word to her. But she was very, very strong and very, very brilliant, and her opinion was so brilliant that they dropped their...
The Palisades fire is going sicko mode, bro. Does anyone have a like a real-time news coverage over it? Because I want to see what the hell's going on in my backyard, dude. Are you guys exaggerating, or is it really that bad?
appeal. They couldn't beat the appeal. So that's what we're up against. So they say we're going to have a smooth transition. All they do is talk. It's all talk. Everything they do is talk. We're going to have a smooth transition. And then they take 625 million acres and they essentially landmark it so you can't ever drill there again. Well, we're going to be drilling soon. We're going to be opening up Anwar. We're going to be doing all sorts of things that nobody ever thought was even possible. But remember when...
Yeah, that's how someone literally survived a wildfire, no joke. I mean, I think that's pretty dependent on the situation. I don't think you can survive a wildfire. I don't think you can survive every wildfire by diving into a pool, chatter. No, there was a person in California who went into their pool because they couldn't evac and survived. Like what? Was he in a scuba tank? Like, I don't understand. Oh, he did. Oh my God. An Australian man is told how he survived a huge bushfire by jumping into his neighbor's pool wearing scuba gear. Strong winds and high temperatures fueled the fire for 3 days, forcing hundreds of residents and tourists to evacuate the area, but homeowner Peter Fabrici decided to stay behind and defend his property from the flames. Defend his property from the flames? How do you defend your property from the flames? What are you going to do? Spit on it, dude? Haktua. Spit on that thing? How do you... That's so stupid. Australians are operating on an entirely different spectrum, dude. How dumb. After the 53-year-old made sure his wife was safely away from the approaching fire, he returned to the house and got his scuba gear out to help him breathe in the smoke. There were spot fires everywhere. The wind was increasing. The smoke was getting thicker and basically stayed with the house as long as I could. After fireproofing his house as best as he could, he included putting sprinklers on the roof. Okay, this guy is crazy. Mr. Fabrici was forced to retreat into his neighbor's pool with the scuba equipment. He remained underwater for about 5 minutes until he saw the blaze pass over him. I held my mask and I just dived headlong into the pool. And that's where I stayed, basically on the bottom, just looking up and seeing the red and the black going over the top. Mr. Fabrici not only managed to save his own life, but his home is still standing. Bro, they're showing this as a successful strategy. Oh my God, Australia is so crazy. Australians are so insane. Sprinklers on roof is normal in Australian bushland. People just do DIY firefighting in Australia? What the hell? After the fire passed, I stuck my head up at the end of the pool. I had a direct view of our house and I was just absolutely amazed. There were no flames coming from it. Firefighters are continuing to battle the blaze, but the easing winds and cooler weather raise hopes that they might soon be able to contain the flames. Built a moat around my house to combat wildfires. Hello, how's it going? Today I'm building a moat around my house to combat wildfires.
And just to get off the subject, because I couldn't believe it when I heard it yesterday. I couldn't believe the size of it. I mean, you put down a map and put this up. It's just massive. And remember that that's worth probably, I mean, I've had estimates, $40 to $50 trillion. That's more than our national debt. Essentially, he's thrown it away. He's thrown it away. He's taken $50 trillion. So if we owe $35 trillion, he's taken $50 trillion of value and thrown it right out the window. We can't do that. Nobody can do that. One other thing he did yesterday, which was in many ways worse. It's hard to believe it can be worse. He wants all gas heaters out of your homes and apartments. He wants them to be replaced by essentially electric heaters. I don't know what it is with electric. This guy loves electric. We're going to be ending the electric car mandate quickly, by the way. This guy loves electric. And we don't have enough electricity. And then we have AI where we need more. And he wants everybody to have an electric heater instead of a gas heater.
He's like, yeah, we got to use the electricity. We got to use our grid for the AI and not like electric heaters and things of that nature that are genuinely better, not for the environment necessarily, but just for like the health of the people. We are going to make sure that people are getting carbon monoxide poisoning. I do not care. We are going to... How else will they vote for me? Unless they have... unless they're introduced to these toxic fumes at an early age and then maybe have cancer down the line. How else? How else will we make sure that our beautiful industry of healthcare continues contributing to the GDP?
Gas heater is much less expensive. The heat is much better. It's a much better heat. As the expression goes, you don't itch. Does anybody have a heater where you go and you're scratching? And that's what they want you to have. They don't want you to have gas where you don't have the problems of the electric. And
what?
The source is plentiful. They're much cheaper to operate. They're much better. They work much better. They look much better. 60% of homes and apartments have gas heaters. He wants them all removed quickly. These people are crazy. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. They also want to go back, and they have already started that, to when you buy a faucet, no water comes out because they want to preserve. Even in areas that have so much water, you don't know what to do. It's called rain. It comes down from heaven. And they want to do, no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip, drip. So what happens? You're in the shower 10 times as long, you know. No water comes out of the faucet. You want to wash your hands. They want to go back to even stronger than what they have right now. As you know, I ended that policy. You can have all the water you want. Makes no difference. It comes weird, especially in certain areas. We have so much water, we don't know what to do with it. But these are all things. They want very, very little water to go into your dishwasher, almost none. And you know what people do? They just keep pressing, keep it going. They end up using more water. Likewise, washing machines. They want in your washing machine to have very little water coming out of the washing machine. So when you wash your clothing, you have to wash it 4 times instead of once. You end up using more water. We're a party of common sense, and things that I'm telling you now is really all about common sense. On January 20th, we'll turn the economy around very quickly, because right now when I think of our economy, I think about inflation. That's what we have. We have inflation, I believe, at a level that we never had before. There's never been anything like it. And over the next 4 years, the United States is going to take off like a rocket ship. But really, it's already doing it. If you take a look, just last month, SoftBank announced the $200 billion. I think it'll be 200. He said between 100, and I said, how about making it 200? And he sort of said yes. But let's say it's 100, but it might be 200, right, Brian? Dollars, United States, creating more than 100,000 jobs. Hussein just announced a tremendous investment that he's going to make, and that's money that's in the bank. He's going to come and do it, and he'll do a great job, and he'll build the best centers in the country, I guarantee, because I know the way he builds. Since my election, the stock market has set records. The S&P 500 index has broken above 6,000 points for the first time ever, never even close. In a single month, small business optimism soared 41 points. It's not a 41. It went up 41 points, and that's the largest in the 39-year history of the group that does it. According to Gallup, the American people's confidence in the economy has just surged to the highest level in history. That's why I have a news conference like that. I take the greatest business leaders in the world. I say, hey, do you want to say you're going to invest the money? They're not looking for news conferences. They're saying, what am I doing here? They go in and they invest money, but it's good to know.
Do you think a re-education program is necessary for America at this point? How about education? I think what is necessary is an education program. Like, we can get to the re-education program if people are educated to begin with. I think we got to start at the point of education first, and then we'll move on to re-education, you know?
Know where the smartest business people in the world are investing, and they're investing in the United States. So we've done this all in we haven't been there. And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And
America needs like a Fidel Castro style figure to improve the literacy rates, okay? Like, that's what we need right now. We need a socialist revolution. Like, we are in the throes of a fascist dictatorship, and bring literacy to the countryside. You know what I mean? That's what we need. Unironically, that's where we're at in the wealthiest nation on the planet at this point.
we think we're going to do some really great things. Really great things. We're being respected again all over the world. The Panama Canal is a disgrace, what took place at the Panama Canal. Jimmy Carter gave it to them for $1, and they were supposed to treat us well. I thought it was a terrible thing to do. It was the most expensive structure ever built in the history of our country, relatively.
What?
It would be the equivalent of substantially over $1 trillion today. We lost 38,000 people. Think of it, 38,000 people, they died from malaria, mosquitoes. They were unable to stop the mosquitoes. They paid people 5 times more to take the job. Many of those people died. We gave it away for $1. But the deal was that, you know, they have to treat us fairly. They don't treat us fairly. They charge more for our ships than they charge for ships of other countries. They charge more for...
He wants to take the Panama Canal. He wants to seize it. He wants to take the Panama Canal. He wants to take Greenland. And he also wants to bomb Mexico. And he wants to annex through economic warfare, he said. He wants to create economic pressure for Canada until the point of annexation. This is the peaceful dove. You see, Donald Trump wants to do all of this, but in a peaceful way, okay? Because he's a peaceful dove.
For our Navy than they charge for navies of other countries. They laugh at us because they think we're stupid, but we're not stupid anymore. So the Panama Canal is under discussion with them right now. They violated every aspect of the agreement, and they've morally violated it also. And they want our help because it's leaking and not in good repair. And they want us to give $3 billion to help fix it. I said, well, why don't you get the money from China? Because China's...
When people say, is he being serious or is he joking? I don't know. I wish I had a good answer for you, man. I don't know. Okay? Like, is it within his capabilities? Is it within the capabilities of the United States empire to be able to potentially overtake by force the Panama Canal, violate another nation's sovereignty. Yeah, I mean, we've done it. I don't know. I mean, at first I thought he was joking. But he just keeps repeating it over and over again. So who knows?
Is basically taking it over. China's at both ends of the Panama Canal. China's running the Panama Canal. And they come to see this Biden, this guy who should never have been allowed even to run for president. Of course, he shouldn't have either, because that never happened. I had to beat 2 people, not 1. But they want $3 billion to fix the Panama Canal that's run by China and makes a lot of money, China. One of the most profitable structures ever built, because you have ships lined up back to Florida, frankly, and they just keep going through, and the numbers are staggering, $500,000 to $1 million a ship. And they took it away from us, meaning we gave it to them for $1. But not going to happen. What they've done to us, they've overcharged our ships, overcharged our Navy. And then when they need repair money, they come to the United States to put it up. We get nothing. Those days are over. Working with the Republican majorities in Congress, we'll cut taxes, slash regulations, raise wages, and boost incomes at a pace the world has not seen before, and certainly not from our country. We had a big chunk of it for the first 3 years prior to COVID coming in my administration. We had the greatest economy in history. We cut the most regulations in the history of our country, and I did that all in 4 years, by 4 times more than any other president cut. We did that in 4 years, and we were just getting started. We'll impose new tariffs so that the products on our stores will once again be stamped with those beautiful words, made in the USA. And we are not treated well, as you know, by Canada. Canada is subsidized to the tune of about $200 billion a year, plus other things.
Like, what is that? I don't even know what that means. Like, if Canada's not treating us well, who's treating us well? Damn, dude, everybody's cooking us, huh? Like, that's America's hat you're talking about, brother. What do you mean? We are not being treated well by Canada is such a funny statement to make as the president of the United States of America.
They don't essentially have a military. They have a very small military. They rely on our military. It's all fine, but, you know, they got to pay for that. It's very unfair. I have so many great friends. One of them is the great one, Wayne Gretzky. I said, run for prime minister. You'll win it'll take 2 seconds. But he said, well, am I going to run for prime minister or governor? You tell me. I said, I don't know. Let's make it governor. I like it.
What? He's saying get Wayne Gretzky to be the governor of Canada and Canada to be a state. God damn. Yeah, he invited Wayne to Mar-a-Lago and told him to run for governor. Wayne is a MAGA cuck now. He's a disgrace of the country. You will see many such cases of that. It won't just be Wayne Gretzky. There isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada will become a part of the United States. Workers and communities in both our countries benefit from being each other's biggest trading and security partner. Uh-oh. I think we're accelerating the Canadian... I think we are accelerating the ways in which Canada will inevitably have that sweet, delicious, juicy freedom of private enterprise in healthcare, especially when you got disgraced, now resigned 23rd Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, saying this will never happen. Well, it seems like it's definitely going to happen. That's a lock now.
Get better. But no, something's going to have to be done. Same thing with Mexico. We have a massive deficit with Mexico, and we help Mexico a lot. They're essentially run by the cartels, and can't let that happen. Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change because we do most of the work there, and it's ours.
What is this? Trump supporter featured in Truth Social videos convicted drug offender. President-elect Donald Trump posted a video of his social media platform Monday of a convicted drug dealer purchasing a Make America Great Again hat in Greenland. I am hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA, Trump's post read. Greenland is an incredible place and that people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes a part of our nation. We will protect it and cherish it from a very vicious outside world. Make Greenland great again. That's Magaga. Newsweek has reached out to Trump's transition team for comment. Of course he looks like that. No. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, Oh my God. Oh, no way. The U.S. has considered acquiring Greenland several times in the past, with the most recent attempt in 2019 when Trump first brought up the idea. Greenland's capital, Nuuk, is closer to New York than the Danish capital, Copenhagen. Copenhagen. Donald Trump speaks at Mar-a-Lago, Florida in January 2024. Timmy Zeeb is, in a video posted by Truth Social, is a drug dealer in Greenland. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison in one of the country's largest cannabis cases. I mean, yeah, who cares? He sells. I'm hearing that the people of Greenland are MAGA. My son, Don Jr., and various, he's going to pardon him. He's going to take Greenland. He's going to turn Greenland into America. And then he's going to pardon this man because of the cannabis crimes that he committed. Wait, let's see. I want to watch the video.
Okay. So, like, if you could tell Trump anything, what would it be?
Buy us.
Buy Greenland?
Buy Greenland.
Why do you want Trump to buy Greenland?
Because we don't want to be colonized by Danish government anymore. We get ripped every year about...
Wait, why does he sound like he's Maori? What the hell is this accent, man? We don't want it, miss. We don't want to be colonized by... We don't want to be colonized by Copenhagen no more, miss. What the hell? Also, what's up with this universality of hogs? Like, why does he look like 4G Auto Blow? Like, why do they always have this painted on beard? 4G Auto Snow Blow? Yo, what the hell, dude? The universality of hogs, man. They're turning into the same person.
Our minerals from Greenland. We are the richest nation in the world, and we don't get to use it. Denmark's using us too much.
Do you like America?
I love America, but people are too fat over there.
Okay.
Wait, but people are too what?
Like America?
I love America, but people are too fat over there.
What? No. What is happening? That's the hog face, man. Isn't that the emote for when hogs are, yeah, hoggers. He's doing the hoggers face. That Arcteryx is fighting for his life. I didn't even know they made it hog size like that. Have you ever seen this insane lib hopium Trudeau tweet? Yeah, I have. Justin Trudeau can become president of the United States in 2028 if Canada becomes the 51st state in America. I know, it's fantastic. Yeah, he should come here to mess up our country too.
We're going to be changing sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico.
Donald Trump talked to Greenlandic people via phone. Trump calls in to Trump Jr.'s visit to Greenland, makes the argument for why the country should join American territory.
He's a real place that you love, and I thought it'd be great to go up there with his two very talented friends and the other group, a lot of other people. So I just want to say that it's a very special place. It needs security for itself, but it also needs security very much for the world. The location really, you see the people and the ships sailing around, and they're not the right ships, and they're not the ships you want to know about. So we need security.
Yeah, they're not the ships you want to know about.
Our country needs it, and the whole world needs it.
Yes. Oh damn! One of them got real hype, dude.
Yeah.
You are right.
You guys like that, right? Yeah, clap now. Come on. Wait, Charlie Kirk is there too? What is happening? Dude, I don't know enough about, like, I know about the history of colonies, but I wonder if it was like this lame. Like even back in the day where they were just like doing whatever the you know, medieval equivalent of this is. It had to have been, right? With like a lot more incest too. The older I get, the more I realize time is indeed a flat circle, where the more I see people just like analyze things that are happening around them and assume that this is some kind of like heaven sent plague or whatever, and not something that is scientifically traceable. Even with readily available information beyond our phones that are so endlessly accessible, people still choose to not see that at all and assume that it's like some kind of divine intervention. If they're doing that, if they think fog is nanomachines, okay, which is no different than looking at the burning ball up in the sky and thinking that is God and magic, then yeah, this has got to be the same exact thing that was happening back in the day, you know? There are things you probably choose not to see as well. What? Yeah, no, you're right. For context, this is like if Joe Biden sent Hunter on a foreign state visit and Hunter invited you to come with him. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine in an alternate universe, Joe Biden is like, "Hey, look alive, Jack. We're taking over the Panama Canal." And then he sends Hunter down there and I'm with Hunter. It's like me and Hunter at Panama being like, "All right, we're taking it over for the Mac attack." Jealous? Yeah, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, we're learning a lot. It's been great. Actually, incredibly beautiful place. The people are incredible. The welcome was spectacular. It's pretty amazing.
Well, that's great. Well, you go have a good time, everybody, and we're going to treat you well. You know that. And just take care of yourselves. Thank you all very much.
See you soon.
Be good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought Trump was the great isolationist. What happened? I thought he was America first. How is doing a colonial occupation on Greenland going to improve the lives of all of the many MAGA charlatans that voted for him? I'm having a hard time. This is like, and before you say, "Oh, well, there's bounty there. There's natural resources there." Okay, there was natural resources at Iraq too. That's why we invaded. Did you see any of those benefits? No. American foreign intervention is never done to improve the immediate lives of American citizens. As a matter of fact, it has a negative impact on the lives of the average citizens. Their sons and daughters go out and die for no reason.
Go to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate.
Oh yeah, he's changing the Gulf of Mexico and renaming it to the Gulf of America.
It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too. And the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers, record numbers. So we're going to make up for that by putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs. And we want to get along with everybody, but, you know, they have to, it takes two to tango. We're approaching the dawn of America's golden age. It's going to be a golden age for America. We have things that nobody else has. We have more natural resources. We have, number one, nobody knew that until I came along. I made us number one. We were number three. I made us number one in a very short period of time in drilling. And, you know, you can talk about windmills. They litter our country. They're littered all over our country, like dropping paper, like dropping garbage in a field. And that's what happens to them, because in a period of time, they turn to garbage. Most expensive energy ever. They only work if you get subsidy. The only people that want them are the people that are getting rich off windmills, getting massive subsidies from the U.S. government. And it's the most expensive energy there is. It's many, many times more expensive than clean natural gas. So we're going to try and have a policy where no windmills are being built. You know, off the coast of New Jersey, they want to build like 200 windmills. The people are going crazy. Nobody wants them, and they're very expensive.
He hates the windmills, and it's just entirely because of his own personal agenda in Scotland. God damn, dude. They built some windmills near the coastline of his golf course, and he hates them so much. He hates them so much. It's crazy. Like, obviously it's in line with the whole, you know, I hate renewable energy. We got to go all in on fossil fuels and oil and gas. But I think his like additional smoke for windmills directly stem from his own personal anger. I wrote a paper about his hatred of windmills almost 10 years ago, about his comments 25 years ago. Yeah, he's had smoke for windmills since they created an aesthetic problem for his golf course.
Expensive. They don't work without subsidy. You don't want energy that needs subsidy. Energy is a good business. You don't need subsidy.
You don't need subsidies? Huh, that's interesting. What about the fossil fuel industry then? Excuse me. What energy production in the United States of America does not rely on billions of dollars of subsidies? What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh my God. There is nothing. There is nothing. There is no major industry in this country that doesn't require a tremendous amount of subsidies. How much are the subsidies for fossil fuel in 2024? Let's see. No, he's talking about renewables. He's talking about renewables need subsidies. It's bad. The International Energy Agency calculated the fossil fuel consumption subsidies stood at $620 billion in 2023. Is a sharp decline from the record sum of more than $1.2 trillion in 2022, the year where energy prices soared sharply in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Nations taking into account the wider ramifications of coming out with a much bigger number. This is like the globe. I want to see what the American subsidies look like. According to the IMF, the U.S. government ranks second in the world in its support of the oil and gas industry. The U.S. federal and state governments give fossil fuel industry over $20.5 billion in support each year throughout through the tax code, inadequate royalty rates, and direct funding. So y'all are paying higher energy prices while those guys got more of your taxes? I mean, America doesn't pay that high in energy prices, to be fair. In comparison to the rest of the world, I feel like our energy prices are relatively low. This has a good pie chart. Fact sheet, proposal to reduce fossil fuel subsidies. Fossil fuel tax breaks eliminated by the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget. A grand total of $96.9 billion, $97 billion. What? Reform taxation of foreign fossil fuel income is at $66 billion. Repeal expend. No, that's like. Is it reasonable to think that Trump is threatening to take over the Panama Canal in Greenland in order to get kicked out of NATO instead of outright leaving NATO? Okay. A lot of people are terrified of Donald Trump leaving NATO and were when he was president, and he didn't do it last time. And I don't think he's going to do it this time either. He'll extract more money from other NATO countries for the security partnership. It's basically NATO is a protection racket that benefits the United States of America. We are NATO. Without NATO, we do not have control over the entire globe. Okay. I'm pretty sure no matter how stupid Donald Trump is, he still understands that reality. And given his track record of backing down from certain things, whenever he gets like a tremendous amount of criticism, or backing away from certain initiatives when it actually harms the bottom line of his big donors, Donald Trump was never actually going to go against NATO. NATO is profoundly important for the military-industrial complex, and Donald Trump understands how important that is. It's also very important for continued American imperialism around the globe.
But when you build these massive towers, I mean, they're 25 stories tall, 40 stories. They have one 70 stories tall. The blades, they take 3 ships to ship them. It's crazy. They're dangerous. You see what's happening up in...
What are the benefits of being subscribed to you? You can avoid ads at the top of the hour, even though I don't run them anymore. But you can act like you're avoiding them. You can send me links. You can use the emotes all around the website. What else? You can avoid like certain slowdowns and stuff like that in the chat every now and then. You can get subscriber access on the Discord as well. And you get to support the stream, the broadcast. This is the #1 revenue stream for the broadcast. This is the only revenue stream for the HasanAbi broadcast, really. That's it. Israel spends 5% and is in a constant state of war. Russia spends 6% while at war with Ukraine being supplied by NATO. 5% spending would basically mean war with Russia, or it is, again, a stupid negotiation tactic for a ridiculously high starting bid. May Poontang, thank you for the 10 tier 1 gifted subs, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads, even though everyone can no longer see the ads. Yeah. All right, let's continue.
The Massachusetts area with the whales.
So does your merch fund your crippling gambling addiction? My crippling gambling addiction. Yes, famously. No, the merch margins are rather non-existent.
Where they had 2 whales wash ashore in, I think, a 17-year period. And now they had 14 this season. The windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously. And
not trying to overtly gas you up, but I hope people understand how much money you don't get because you don't run ads. The ad programs are how most people, even big streamers, make most of their revenue on stream. Yes, 100%.
And they had actually...
Silax, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. God damn.
Over, I think, 125 or something over a number of years. over a number of years, and we don't want that to happen. It's a disaster. It's amazing the way a true environmentalist would say, oh, we love wind. It sounds good, but that's about where it ends. You know, after 10 years, you have to redo them. And what happens is they don't do that. They let them stand and they rust, and they say, because of the environment, I'm not a believer in this, but they say you can't, because it's a certain fiberglass, that the blades cannot be buried in earth, that's an environment. So what do you do with them? What do you do with them?
Yeah, famously, fossil fuels are not notoriously polluting the environment, whereas the disposition or the discarding of windmill turbines is what is like really ruining the planet. That's what's famously fossil fuels, no pollution, clean coal, baby, clean gas, clean oil, not disposition, disposal. Sorry.
And I don't know if you've ever gone to Palm Springs, California, or any of these places where you have long-term windmills standing. They're a disaster. They're rusting, rotting, closed, falling down. This is as you enter Palm Springs. And they put new ones next to them because nobody wants to take them down, because why should they take them down? It's very expensive to take them down. And you can't do anything with them because the blades, you can't bury them because of the environmental protection. We'll look at that. Doesn't make sense, but that's what they say. So we are at the beginning of a great, beautiful golden age of business. And I think we're also at a golden age of common sense, because everything I'm saying to you, from a simple water faucet that doesn't allow water to come out appropriately, to all of the other elements of
SF Dubs,
what we do,
thank you for
what
the
we're
5
going to
gifted
do,
subs.
to take $50 to $60 trillion off our country's balance sheet because some man that has no idea what he's doing, has no idea. You know it, I know it, the Democrats know it. What they did is a crime by allowing that to happen. And I'll bet you, if you asked him today, how much acreage did you submit? Essentially, did you destroy? You destroyed the economic viability of drilling in the ocean. And with AI coming along and all, you know, a lot of people don't realize that AI is going to be a
Funny how he doesn't bring up the 8,000 zombie oil wells in Texas. Yeah, the environmental impact in the aftermath of its use cycle for a wind turbine is so minuscule in comparison to the oil and gas industry and their, you know, broadly accepted horrifying practices. I don't even, like, putting it up side by side with one another is just like insane. It's like comparing getting tickled by a child to being shot directly in the head with a .50 caliber. What are we doing? What kind of conversation is this? And it is so, like, it's just so stupid, but it doesn't matter. I need you guys to understand something, okay? I need you to understand something. Things are going to get worse. People are going to get dumber, okay? And the truth does not matter. Is it true about the whales though? No, dude, it is not true about the scientists have found zero link between the mass die-off of whales and the wind turbines, and the speculation is that it's most likely climate change that's contributing to whales committing suicide by higher numbers rather than the wind turbines. So if anything, it's yeah, if you worry about the whales, you should worry about the sonar instead. The only time where the wind turbines are somewhat disruptive to the ecosystem is when they're being built. That's it.
A big thing, but you'll need double the electricity at least that we have right now. So right now we produce electricity for many, many different things. AI is a very big deal in terms of the future. China is already building electric facilities, big, bold electric facilities. And you know how they're being fired up? With coal. And we're going to build bigger and better ones. People like Hussein that are doing the same thing as he is. I'll bet they don't do it as well because I know how he does it, but they're doing a lot of things. The problem is they can't get their permits because I say build the plant with the building. So with the structure, build the plant, because if you go into the grids are old. So they said, that's a great idea. In other words, build your electric facility alongside of your plant. And you could have extra output if you want, because once you build it, you can make it larger pretty inexpensively. You could have extra output, which you'll sell to the public, but build it with the plant, and people are loving that idea. So we're going to have a lot of fun making America great again, and it's going to happen, I think, very, very quickly. It's already happened. So I would say this, and this has been pretty openly reported by the news. There's never been anything like what's happened in the list since we won the election, a couple of months since we won the election. The whole perception of the whole world is different. People from other countries have called me. They said, thank you, thank you. The perception of the whole world is different. We're going to have to settle some big problems that are going on right now. We're going to have to settle up with Russia, Ukraine. That's a disaster. I look at numbers every week, the number of people being killed in that war. People don't know, mostly soldiers now. But the towns have been obliterated. This was a Biden fiasco that he got. That should have never happened. If we had a real president, if we had a president that knew what he was doing, Russia would have never, ever gone in. But they did go in, and we have a mess. The cities are all blown up. The people have largely left. And the soldiers are killing each other at levels that haven't been seen since the Second World War. So we'll have to get that one straightened out, too. That's a tough one. Much tougher than it would have been before it started, I can tell you that. A deal could have been made just by an average deal maker. A deal could have been made on that. So thank you all for coming. We'll take a couple of questions. Yeah, go ahead, please.
President, thank you. I wanted to touch on the world on fire that you mentioned, but let's start, if we could, with your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal. But if you remember, and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal.
I think that Donald Trump is not exactly a student of history. Okay. And I think the only reason why he knows about the Jimmy Carter situation is because he did the thing with Netanyahu, a similar thing with Netanyahu. That's what I think. I think there's no other reason for this man to know anything about Jimmy Carter. Okay. Bold of you to assume he's a student of anything. I mean, I'm saying he's not. The only thing he's a student of is he's a student of the streets. Okay. The school of hard knocks, where he got an A+, baby. That's right. The art of the deal, more like art of the steal. Yep. Green New Steel. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Okay.
Canal now because, it's inappropriate, I guess, but because it's a bad part of the Carter legacy. But he was a good man. Look, he was a good man. I knew him a little bit, and he was a very fine person, but that was a big mistake. Giving the Panama Canal to Panama was a very big mistake. We lost 38,000 people. It cost us the equivalent of $1 trillion, maybe more than that. Probably the most expensive, they say it was the most expensive structure, if we call it a structure, which I guess you can, ever built. And giving that away was a horrible thing. And I believe that's why Jimmy Carter lost the election, even more so than the hostages. Those two things.
If I could follow up on Ukraine and Iran, the two negotiations you'll be heading into. On Ukraine, you said
considering military force to acquire Panama.
Wait, what? Trump invites us to reimagine our communities and to see national borders as artificially drawn lines. Oh my God, is he about to hit the Giannis Varoufakis line? Borders are a scar on the face of the earth.
To acquire Panama and Greenland, are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No. Economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. They make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber.
Dude, everyone is so woke. Everyone's a liberal, dude. He's like, borders are artificially drawn lines only when I want to annex our neighboring sovereign state. Oh, dude, he's Mr. Border Wall. What do you mean? I thought, wait, even this guy's dropped the whole wall aesthetic. The party realignment is here. MAGA communism now. MAGA communism forever. That's right. I'm saying it. ACP was right. Jackson Hinkledink was right, dude. He said no borders, abolish class, abolish currency. We are looking at a future of a moneyless, classless, borderless society.
We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber.
That's wild. No wall equals no border. He's at least consistent. What is Jesse Waters saying about it? See, the thing is, like, they're all memeing about it, but I don't know if they're memeing.
Canada At first I wanted it, and I tried to divide it into 2 states. And then I realized we'd be adding Montana, basically, for the Republicans, and electorally like a Texas for the Democrats. And I don't like that. But the fact that they don't want us to take them over makes me want to invade. I want to quench my imperialist thirst.
Like, what? I can't tell if this is, I feel like they're still joking about it, but they're so stupid and so bloodthirsty. I honestly don't know if they are joking.
Just before, it's a lot more complicated now.
Much more complicated.
Do you believe...
Because it would have never started.
Right, but it has started.
Well, not only started, the cities are largely knocked down.
So you've got like, what you've got. At this point, would you, to hold on to leverage in dealing with President Putin, would you make a commitment to the Ukrainians that you will keep supporting them during the negotiations?
Well, I wouldn't tell you if that were the case.
Would you make a commitment to provide a security guarantee if they do enter into an armistice or a ceasefire along the lines that the French and the Germans?
So, you know, a big part of the problem was Russia for many, many years, long before Putin said you could never have NATO involved with Ukraine. Now, they've said that that's been like written in stone. And somewhere along the line, Biden said, no, they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I could understand their feeling about that. But there were a lot of mistakes made in that negotiation. And when I heard the way that Biden was negotiating, I said, you're going to end up in a war. And it turned out to be a very bad war. And it could escalate. That war could escalate to be much worse than it is right now.
They can never join NATO.
Well, my view is that it was always understood. In fact, I believe that they had a deal, and then Biden broke it. They had a deal, which would have been a satisfactory deal to Ukraine and everybody else, but that Biden said, no, you have to be able to join NATO. And that's always been, and nobody knows more about NATO than I. You know, years ago when I first started this, I didn't know too much about NATO, but I got it right anyway. I said, they're taking advantage. I'm the one that got, and the Secretary General was here, as you know, 2 weeks ago, saying that if it weren't for me, NATO wouldn't even exist right now, because I raised from countries that weren't paying their bills. At that time, 28 countries, 20 of them were not paying their bills, 21 to be exact. They weren't paying, or they were paying a very small portion. And I raised over $680 billion. That was the number he gave, by saying, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you. And as soon as I said that, the money came pouring in. But Obama could have said it. Other people could have said it. Bush could have said it. Nobody said it but me. I took a lot of heat. They said, oh, that's a threatening statement. Well, they weren't paying their bills. I said, we're not going to protect you if you're not paying the bills. So in a true sense, I saved NATO, but NATO's taken advantage of us. And one of the problems that I have, and I've said it openly, I said it to President Zelensky, Europe is in for a tiny fraction of the money that we're in. Now, whether you like that situation or not, Europe is much more affected than the United States. We have a thing called the ocean in between us, right? Why are we in for billions of dollars more money than Europe? And, you know, they're a similar size, a little smaller, but they're a similar size economy as the United States when you add them up. And yet Europe is in for a small fraction of the number the United States is in. Now, Biden could have called them up during the term. That's what I did. I said, you have to pay your bills. And they all, one stood up. I won't say who. You'll probably have it because the papers, the media hated to report on it. But a prime minister stood up from a country, you know, a famous meeting of 28 nations with no press, no anybody in the room. He stood up. He says, does that mean if we don't pay our bill, and at that point it was 2%, it should be 5%. It should be 5%, not 2%. But at that point it was 2%. But many people didn't pay. Some people didn't pay anything. But many people were way, including Germany. Germany was at less than 1%.
You're going to press for 5%?
Well, I think NATO should have 5%, yeah. Well, you can't do it at 2%. I mean, at 2%, every country, if you're going to have a country in a regular military, you're at 4%. I think they should be, you know, they're in dangerous territory. I think it should be, they can all afford it, but they should be at 5%, not 2%. I'm the one that got them to pay 2%. But a gentleman stood up, a prime minister stood up, and he said to me, sir, could I ask you a question? You're saying we have to pay our bills. If we don't pay our bills, will the United States protect us from Russia? I said, if you don't pay, you mean you're delinquent? He said, yes. He said, if you're delinquent, we will not protect you. I took a lot of heat.
I think out of all the stuff he's saying, the one that he wants the most, bro, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's hard to figure out what they're memeing about and what they're being serious about and what they will actually genuinely attempt to do. Like, there, you got Greenland on the one side, you got the Panama Canal on the other, and you got Canada. And I truly don't know. I don't know. Then, of course, they're talking about the whole situation with, you know, NATO. At least it's not the immigrants anymore. Dog, what are you talking about? He said he's going to deport 17 million people. Like, he said that's day one. They've already moved. That I do believe they will take initiatives against. Like, that I think they're going to move on with. I just don't know, out of the foreign policy side, you know, governments and the tightly wound international cooperative agreements and all these other countries and their own personal interests and whatnot could play a role in undermining some of these goals, right? That's just the way I see it, but I don't know. I don't know.
Although it was somewhat closed door, I took a lot of heat from the media. And you know what happened? The money started pouring in. That's why NATO has money. And the Secretary General said it was the most incredible thing he had ever seen in a negotiation. Now, if I would have said, yes, we will, nobody would have paid. If I would have loved to say, yes, we'll protect you even if you don't pay. But that's not the way life works.
Two questions related to each other. First, you said on your first day of office you were going to pardon January 6th defendants. Are you planning to pardon those who were charged with violent offenses?
Well, we're looking at it, and we have other people in there. And as you see, I guess 24 or 28 people came now from the FBI. That came out very quietly. Nobody reported it, but they had
so
people.
We're kicking out immigrants, but also taking Canada and Greenland. I mean, the Canada one is the silliest one, I think, out of everything that he's stating. But like, the Canada one is the annexation of Canada is the stupidest one that he's mentioning out of everything that he's talking about. Like, but Panama Canal, having like some kind of security cooperation over the Panama Canal, that I can see. Having American military bases on Greenland, and a security cooperation over Greenland, that I can see. Notice how he doesn't talk about annexing Mexico. That's because he wants to put all the immigrants there, and then he wants to bomb Mexico. So that's what we're doing with Mexico. We're going to push all the immigrants there, and then we're going to bomb it because we're fighting the cartels.
In some form related to the FBI. They had 4 or 5 people that were strongly related to the FBI. We have to find out about that. We have to find out about Hezbollah. We have to find out about who exactly was in that whole thing, because people that did some bad things were not prosecuted. You know, I see it all the time, and you see it too. People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted, and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now. So we'll be looking at the whole thing, but I'll be making major pardons. Yes, please. Please.
On Jack Smith's report.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. It's good to see you again. 2 questions about Syria and the ongoing war in Gaza. About Syria, the Pentagon disclosed last month the U.S. has some 2,000 troops in Syria. That's almost double the number initially we were told of 900. Will you keep that troop capacity the same upon taking?
Well, I won't tell you that because that's part of a military strategy, but I will say it was Turkey. Turkey's been after that country in different names and different forms and shapes for 2,000 years. Those people that went in are from Turkey. And President Erdogan is a friend of mine. He's a guy I like, respect. I think he respects me also. He's the one that didn't go after certain people after I requested that he not. You know who I'm talking about, the Kurds. I don't know how long that's going to, because they're natural enemies. They hate each other. But he didn't do that yet. And he didn't do it in the past also. He started, and I said, please don't do that, and he didn't do it. So, but if you look at what happened with Syria, Russia was weakened.
Bro said natural enemies like they're Pokemon, dude. Yeah. As a Turk, the Kurd is my natural enemy. You know, since I'm a Pokemon and I see a Kurd and I think, and then the Pokemon fight music starts. Bum, 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 bum. Brr, 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 brr. Oh no, it's a Kurd type. It's a Kurd type Pokemon. That is my natural enemy. Meanwhile, we got the Greeks right there. How are you going to discount the real natural enemy of the Turk? Turkish people are the first to recognize that if a Kurdish person was like, oh, lahmacun is our food too, they'd be like, yeah, that's right. But God forbid they hear an Armenian say that. Let me tell you, okay? If the Kurds were like, baklava is our thing, Turkish people would be like, yeah, that's fine. But if a Greek said that, oh my Lord, the area is treacherous. There are far more natural enemies. You understand me?
Iran was weakened, and he's a very smart guy. And he sent his people in there through different forms and different names, and they went in and they took over, and that's the way it is.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Do you have concerns about HTS taking control of
By the way, I
Syria?
have the envoy here. Is that in the back? It is. Standing with my son. Eric is Steve Witkoff, who's just got back from the Middle East, and he's done a fantastic job. He's a great deal maker. I said, what we need there is a deal maker, because nobody makes a deal. We have people that understand where the rivers are and where the meets and bounds are, but they can't talk. They can't make deals. Steve's done a great job. I just want to thank you, Steve. You've been working endlessly for months, and he's working specifically on the hostages, trying to get them back.
Well, that was my second question. Is Hamas
Steve, come up for a second. Maybe you might want to say a couple of words.
Sir,
I didn't know Steve was going to be here, actually.
Neither did I.
He's done a fantastic job, and it's a dangerous job, too, and we appreciate it. He didn't know about this kind of danger and the other deal-making he does. Now he sees a lot of big danger. Come on up, Steve.
Mr. President, can I ask you a second part of that? Hamas
Just one
released another
second,
hostage
please.
video.
I'm going to give you a little report on the hostages, if I can. Steve? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wow. Well, I think we're making a lot of progress, and I don't want to say too much because I think they're doing a really good job back in Doha. I'm leaving tomorrow back to go to Doha, but I think that we've had some really great progress, and I'm really hopeful that by the inaugural, we'll have some good things to announce on behalf of the President. I actually believe that we're working in tandem in a really good way, but it's the President, his reputation, the things that he has said that are driving this negotiation. And
you know this motherfucker got the job because he has a Mar-a-Lago membership, okay? I'm sorry. This is the most, I don't know anything about this dude. I don't know nothing about his background. This is the most Mar-a-Lago dentist guy I've ever seen, okay? Looking like a fish out of water. But yeah, that's right. Oh my God, he's a real estate investor, landlord, and founder of the Witkoff Group. Oh my God. Wait, what's his experience? He was involved in financing the Fontainebleau Las Vegas? That's, oh my God, it's worse. He's not even a dentist. Oh my God. On September 15, 2024, Witkoff was playing golf with Trump at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach, Florida, when the suspected assassination on Trump was attempted. Oh my God. I didn't want to lock it so hard, but God damn, he is so one-note. He is so predictable. It's crazy.
So hopefully it'll all work out and we'll save some lives. I believe we've been on the verge of it. I don't want to delay it. There's no point to be negative in any way. But I think it's the President, his stature, what he said he expects, the red lines he's put out there, that's driving this negotiation. I'm going back probably either this evening or tomorrow night.
Are you confident there'll be a deal before January 20th, or is that something that's likely to happen, if there's a deal even at all? We've been hearing this now for the better part of.
I know. I would say.
They better be.
Right. I would say that the President is exasperated. I don't want to talk for him, but look, I don't know anyone who delegates better than President Trump. He gives us a lot of authority to speak on his behalf, and he exhorts us to speak emphatically. And emphatically means you better do this, because the alternative.
Do you think they're waiting for President Trump to take office?
No, I think they heard him loud and clear. Better get done by the inaugural.
But when you say all hell will
Before
be
I
paid,
take office.
all hell must be paid if they don't release the.
Well, do I have to define it for you? Look, all hell will break out. If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was.
Yeah, people forget October 7th all the time, man.
Are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? So she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old beautiful girl. And the way they treated her. And I just say it this very simply. Steve's got a job to do. He's a great guy, great negotiator, great person. They respect him over there already. It's what we needed over there. We have people that know everything about the Middle East, but they can't speak properly. They don't know. He's a great negotiator. That's what I needed. I could have sent that gentleman right over there, Hussein. He's a great negotiator. There are people, they're rare. Great negotiators are very rare, like a great surgeon. But we have the right person. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation. If the deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
God, I love how much he loves
140
peace,
police officers
man.
were injured by rioters on January 6th. Will you pardon anyone who attacked a police officer?
Well, the only one that was killed was a beautiful young lady named Ashley Babbitt. She was killed. And there was actually somebody else that was killed, also a MAGA person, but people don't give it 100% credibility. I'm going to find out about it. We're going to find out. But Ashley Babbitt was killed. She was shot. She had never been shot. She was shot for no reason whatsoever. In fact, they say that she was trying to hold back the crowd. And the crowd was made up of a lot of different people, so we'll see. But I will tell you this, the person that was killed was Ashley Babbitt. The other thing is, when they talk, there was never charges of insurrection or anything like that. But if there were, this would be the only insurrection in history where people went in as insurrectionists with not one gun, okay? And let me tell you, the people that you're talking about have a lot of guns in their home for hunting and for shooting and for entertainment, a lot of good reasons. But there wasn't one gun that they found. And why didn't they find the bomber, the pipe bomber? You know, they know who the pipe bomber is. The FBI knows who it is. The status of the FBI has gone down so far, and the status of the DOJ, or as I call it, the Department of Justice, it's the Department of Injustice, being laughed at all over the world.
That would be DOI, stupid.
And hopefully with Pam Bondi and with Kash Patel and with other people that we're putting in, that will all come back. If you do a poll in the FBI, I guarantee I'm at like 90% with the agents of the FBI, but they have hurt that incredible place. Law enforcement, I mean, you think of the FBI, they raided this house. By the way, they could have told me, could I see this? I would have given them, I actually told them, come in anytime you want. You can see anything. They raided the house, and the case was dismissed. And now I'm in litigation. I'm suing them for doing that. And I feel so badly doing it. I'm the President of the United States, and I'm suing the United States, but I'm suing them for other things, too. The FBI has gone so, its reputation has been so horribly hurt between Comey, who is the worst, and all of the others. What's happened to the FBI is, and we're going to make it great again. We're going to make the FBI great again. We're going to make the Department of Justice fair and strong, but fair again. Because all they did was attack me because I'm their political opponent, and that includes with local judges like Marchand. You ought to find out. Ask them, why do I have a gag order where I'm not allowed to speak? Think of it. I'm the President of the United States, and I'm not allowed to speak. Why? Because if I did speak, people would understand the scam. It's a scam. And we have very dishonest judges, and New York judges are very bad. We had one that valued this house at $18 million because it was good for their case. He actually valued that chandelier is worth more than $18 million. He valued this house as $18 million. And we have another one who was so nasty, so horrible, such a brute, most vicious, vile person. These are New York judges. But we've won most of the cases, so we're very happy about that. Please.
Back on Greenland, your position is clear, but have you directed your staff to take specific actions to draw plans? And can you elaborate again? You didn't rule out military coercion.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time. You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do, they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world. You look at, you don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place. You have Russian ships all over the place. We're not letting that happen. We're not letting it happen. And if Denmark wants to get to a conclusion, but nobody knows if they even have any right, title, or interest. The people are going to probably vote for independence or to come into the United States. But if they did do that, then I would tariff Denmark at a very high level.
Have you asked your staff to draw plans for acquisition? I mean, are you active?
No, we're not at that stage, but we have people. I haven't even entered office yet.
Secondly, sir, Elon Musk has drawn some
China's over there like licking its
some
lips.
of his actions and provocative statements about foreign affairs, including in Europe. Your reaction to that, is that appropriate for?
You mean where he likes people that tended to be conservative? I don't know the people. I can say Elon's doing a good job, very smart guy. I don't.
Yeah, start sanctioning every European country. Allow China to get the microchip technology from the Netherlands. Lose out on any sort of global influence that we might have had. Allow China to become even more of a leader in multiple key sectors. Masterful gambit.
Don't know the people you're talking about. He was, I know he said some negative things about a couple of people that are running for office, but that's not so unusual. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask you about Ukraine and Putin. How soon do you anticipate going to meet with Putin to discuss the Ukraine situation?
Well, I can't tell you that, but I know that Putin would like to meet. I don't think it's appropriate that I meet until after the 20th, which I hate, because, you know, every day people are being, many young people are being killed, soldiers. You know, the land is very flat, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers from many hundreds of thousands from each side are dead, and they're laying in fields all over the place. Nobody to even collect. There's landmines all over. It's a disaster. But it's very flat. It's great. It's farmland, and it's very flat. And the only thing that stops a bullet is the human body. And the human body is stopping a lot of bullets.
What does that have to do with anything?
Within the first 3 to 6 months.
I hope to have 6 months.
First 3 to 6
No,
months.
I hope long before 6 months. Look, Russia's losing a lot of young people, and so is Ukraine. And it should have never been started. That's a war that should have never happened. I guarantee you, if I were president, that war would have never happened.
Who would you like to nominate to replace Michael Barr as vice chair for the board?
I'll be announcing somebody.
Mr.
Mr. President, if we were to work under the assumption that you're serious about making Canada 51st state of the United States,
I think it's pretty awesome that Donald Trump is so vehemently opposed to Biden and the Democratic Party that he ends up making like a weird argument that it's not actually Vladimir Putin's fault that he invaded Ukraine. It's actually still Joe Biden's fault. It's not actually Hamas's fault that they did October 7. It's actually Joe Biden's fault that October 7 happened. He's not even hitting the American enemies. Our foreign adversaries are violent and awful narratives that you normally would hear from any other American president because he's so obsessed with being like, no, it's the Democrats. It's dope. I don't think they care about saving the U.S. empire at this point. I think they just want to capitalize on the inevitable collapse and loot the U.S. economy post-USSR oligarch style. I mean, but that's what holds everything together.
The leader of the Conservative Party in Canada said, under no circumstances will it ever be the 51st state.
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will. I don't care.
You had suggested
Listen, I don't care.
You said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber.
What?
We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers. And Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner. But no right. Nope, no right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast, but we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things. But no right. No right. But why are we supporting a country, $200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down. I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. They send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We get a lot of milk. We get a lot of everything, and we don't need any of it. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question, but I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit, and we're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors, but we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money. And why should we have a $200 billion deficit and add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy? And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state, but if you're another country, we don't want to have it. We're not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350 billion. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. And so we're not going to have it with them either. Brian, go ahead.
Yes. Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you.
We have some breaking news. You may not be aware of this, but it looks like Canada has blocked the DOJ from releasing the Smith's report until further court proceedings. Get your thoughts on that.
That's a big story.
Yeah.
So if I get it right, the fake witch hunt started by the DOJ having to do with books and records, and Biden had many more, and he wasn't protected by the Presidential Records Act, I was. But all of that fake stuff that took the lives of people, I mean, literally destroyed people. People are destroyed because of what they did. Destroyed.
What?
We got to be president. But Biden did it for 40 years. He did it when he was a senator. That was illegal. And they ruled it was illegal. How about that? They said, it's illegal, but he's unfit to stand trial. So he can stand and be president of the United States, but the prosecutor found that he's unfit for trial. I was going to use that as a major talking point, but I never got to use it because all of a sudden I had a new candidate who was also sort of unfit to stand trial, right? But so what you're saying is that the judge just blocked the. So Cannon was thrown off the case. They dropped their appeal because he had no case. They dropped all of that, the lawsuits against us. They lost the lawsuit. So this is deranged Jack Smith. So he dropped the lawsuits. He was told to by the DOJ because they had no lawsuit. They lost in court in front of a very strong and a very brilliant judge. They lost in court, and that pertained to other cases in other courts. So he wanted to do a report just before I take office, probably. So he'll do like a 500-page report, and it'll be a fake report just like the investigation was a fake investigation. And I said, well, wait a minute. This guy was thrown off in disgrace. In disgrace. He's going back to The Hague or wherever they're going to send him. In disgrace. Because he failed so badly. Because it was a fake case against a political opponent. They thought they were going to use this to beat me. So what you're saying is, I'm just hearing that they're not allowed to issue the report. So if they're not allowed to issue the report, that's the way it should be. Because he was thrown off the case in disgrace. Why should he be allowed to write a fake report? It'll only be a fake report. That's great news. Good.
And if I can just follow up real quickly, you want to comment, many Americans are angry that we're sending millions of dollars every month to the Taliban. Do you anticipate?
It's not even believable. Billions of dollars, not millions, billions. We pay billions of dollars to essentially the Taliban, Afghanistan. And that's given by Biden. That's the same man that took away $50 to $60 trillion worth of value from the United States. Think of it, probably our most valuable asset. Took away our most valuable asset. This can't be allowed to happen. We are now a nation of common sense. When he does that, 625 million acres, this can't be allowed to happen. Thank you for the information. Yes, most other people probably knew about it, but they wouldn't have told me, right?
On your campaign trail, you vowed to bring down the prices at grocery stores very fast.
Yeah, we won't do it
fast. But then you recently told Time Magazine that bringing down prices would be very hard. So what can the American people expect when you get into office?
It's always hard to bring down prices when somebody else has screwed something up like they did. But we'll bring them down. We'll get them down. Energy is going to bring down prices. We're going to have a lot of energy. And energy is what brought it up. Energy and their bad spending is what brought it up. And energy is going to bring it down. We're going to have prices down. I think you're going to see some pretty drastic price reductions. As an example, food, bacon, ham, apples, everything has gone through the roof. It's one of the reasons I won. So as you know, I said it, inflation was one of the reasons I won. But I think the biggest reason I won was the fact that they are allowing prisoners to come into our country. They released their prisoners, their murderers. Thousands of murderers are now walking around the streets of our cities and farmland all over. Murders, people that have killed. Many, 32% have killed more than one person. They released them from their jails, their prisons, and their mental institutions and insane asylums into our country. I believe that's the reason we got such a large vote. All right, maybe one or two more questions? Yeah, please, go ahead.
32% have killed more than one person?
Late in state today in Washington, you had some harsh words for him about the Panama Canal. Is there any disconnect there? Do you feel a little bit bad about doing that on this day?
No, I liked him as a man. I disagreed with his policy. So, hey, he thought giving away the Panama Canal was a good thing.
Brother, he says in the same breath that there are 20 million undocumented migrants currently on U.S. soil, and then turns around and claims that 32% of undocumented migrants have killed at least one person. Like, what he's describing is mathematically impossible. Okay, let's say it's 30%. 30%. That's 22 million. 2 million times 3, 6 million. That means 6 million undocumented migrants have killed more than one person. Okay? That's at least 6 to 12 million people that have been murdered by undocumented migrants in a country where the total population is 330 million. COVID killed 1 million plus, and that was devastating. Can you imagine? What is this fucking statistic, man? No, he said that 32% of the murderers killed more than one person. Oh, he's saying that out of the undocumented migrants that murdered people, 32% of them killed more than one person. Okay, that actually makes a lot more sense. Because there's what? 29 cases yearly of homicide and manslaughter. No. There's 29 cases of yearly of homicide or manslaughter from undocumented migrants. 29, 29. Not 29,000, not 2,900, not 290, 29. So yeah, maybe 30% of 29 were actually people that ended up killing more than one person. 29. Okay, shut up. Don't make fun of me. I'm stupid. You're not allowed to make fun of me anymore because I'm stupid.
I think it cost him the election. That and the hostages. I actually think that was a bigger factor because that's a deal that just should not have been made. But again, this was a question that was asked of me. I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to bring up the Panama Canal because of Jimmy Carter's death. But people don't bring it up. But, you know, you and other people have asked me about it. No, it's a deal that I was very strongly against. I was a young guy when this took place. But just why would we spend all of that money, lose 38,000 people to malaria, the mosquito? They were dying. It was horrible what was happening.
Oh my God, remember that? Mosquito. It just reminded me. It reminded me. 38,000. 38,000 dead because of the mosquito. Come on, someone has that old video. I think it's him talking to Jonathan Swan. Oh my God, I'm such a Trump stan. Why do I know this? You don't remember this Trump? I'm a ball knower, dude, when it comes to Trump. It was with Jonathan Swan, I believe. I'll look it up. Yeah, my hyperfixation is Donald Trump.
There are those that say, you can test too much. You do know that.
Who says that?
Oh, just read the manuals, read the books.
Manuals?
Read the
What
books.
manuals?
Read the books.
What books?
What test
sorry,
it shows? Wait a
who
minute,
said-
John. Let me explain. What testing does, it shows cases. It shows where the
This is when he was like completely falling apart, dude. This was a crazy time.
may be cases.
I've covered you for a long time. I've gone to your rallies. I've talked to your people. They love you. They listen.
No, it's not Jonathan Swan, I don't think. It's not that COVID interview. I know it well. Are you sure?
Now, in all fairness,
Daily
here, then you look. Here is the
death. Korea. The US has intelligence with him.
I have never. It was real.
It was Johnson.
Well, Johnson did.
You think the Civil Rights
How
Act was a
has it worked
mistake?
out?
Oh, it's with Tucker.
Why
That's
is
for
China
testing.
allowed to conduct imperialism in our hemisphere?
Well, yeah, and it's far beyond Cuba. It's all over South America.
Yeah, in the Caribbean.
So we built a thing called.
Bro, this is so funny. Watching Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump talk about Chinese imperialism like they're, you know, Destiny dick riders. I wonder if this will cause anyone to reconsider their assessment as massive liberals. Probably not.
Called the Panama Canal. We lost 35,000 people to the mosquito, you know, malaria.
Yeah.
We lost 35,000 people building. We lost 35,000 people because of the mosquito.
I love that. Where he just like increasingly gets funnier and fun. We lost 35,000 people because of the mosquito.
We lost 35,000 people to the mosquito, you know, malaria.
Yeah.
We lost 35,000 people building. We lost 35,000 people because of the mosquito. Vicious. They had to build under nets. It was.
They paid them 4 times more than they would make in the United States, but they know they were going to go over there and die. And they died in the jungles of malaria. There was nothing we could do to stop it. 38 times. And then we gave it away for $1.
Through Congress, you appeared to open the door in your radio interview yesterday for a 2-bill approach. It's still your preference for one big, beautiful bill, as you have said.
Well, I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will. But if 2 is more certain, it does go a little bit quicker because you can do the immigration stuff early. Now, you have to understand, for immigration and for the wall, we won the case on the wall. You know, they tried to sell the wall for 5 cents on the dollar, by the way. And we had, fortunately, a judge that stopped that. But they were already discarding the wall. And 5 cents on the dollar. And you know what they were doing? They were calling us up and saying, we'll sell it back to you at 200 cents. In other words, double what we paid for it. So they were going to buy it from this guy for 5 cents on the dollar. They were making deals. And fortunately, we had a very smart judge that stopped it cold. I think he called for an investigation, too, and he should. But think of it. They were selling the wall that was exactly the wall that the Border Patrol.
I don't know who he's talking about now. Who's selling the wall? Like just like a wall salesman? What? Like, is he talking about how like private wall salesmen were grifting the government or something? He got real animated too. This is like right in the pocket. This is his own. This is when you know he's like, he loves wheeling and dealing. So he's like, oh yeah, they tried to come after. They tried to take over. They tried to sell me a wall for the price point. I said, ain't no way, Jose.
Patrol wanted. That was designed by them. Steel, concrete, rebar, exactly as they want. Very, very heavy steel, very powerful steel, hard to cut. Very, very heavy, 7,000-pound concrete, which is a very strong concrete. Everything was top of the line. Very expensive. Would be double what we paid for it then, 6 years ago. But let me just tell you, they were selling it for 5 cents on the dollar to people, and those people were calling us. asking us to pay them 200 cents because it's a good deal because we can have it immediately. And you know what immediately is? Just leave it in place. No, the papers haven't written that, though.
It's so funny. He's just going real estate mode. He just went real estate developer mode in the middle of a 1 hour Mar-a-Lago press conference. Randomly, he locked in and went into developer mode. He's like, they're trying to get me. The raw materials are so expensive. These guys are crazy. What are they doing? It's like the president should not be this deeply involved with one singular aspect of the American government's broad network of affairs. Okay. He's like, he knows every part of that deal.
Yeah, that deal is like all the other things that these people do. These people either hate our country or they're very stupid. And I don't believe they're stupid because nobody can cheat on elections like they cheat and be stupid. They either hate our country or they're stupid. So remember what I said because nobody wants to report it. They were selling the wall for 5 cents on the dollar and trying to resell it back to us for 200 cents or less, but for 200 cents on the dollar. That's a nice return.
They announced that it would stop putting fact checks on posts on its website. And Meta said today it would stop putting fact checks on its website and instead allow community to
Well, I watched their news conference, and I thought it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta, Facebook. I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very impressive. I watched it.
Bro, that's so funny. All it took was like a couple million from Mark Zuckerberg. Trump is now like, Meta is very good. I like it. I will be talking about that in a little bit, but you need to understand. Facebook already was like a right-wing, an incredibly right-wing network, obviously. It's an incredibly right-wing platform. That's where all the grandparents are. But I think it's important for people to recognize that a lot of the platforms that you rely on for communication, for dissemination of information, for getting, new things, for learning new things, they are almost entirely, they're controlled by psychopathic right-wing billionaires, okay? And they're no longer even hiding that they are, openly right-wing. So just something to remember. At least back in the day, they used to try to act like they were libbed up to a certain degree, and it's gone. Even the aesthetics are gone. Even the optics are gone. That's how thoroughly liberalism has been defeated. Yes, this is on 1.25 speed, by the way, chatters. Of course, Donald Trump can't speak this fast. China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology announced Tuesday that the country will implement a superfast 10 gig optical network pilot projects in certain cities and regions in 2025. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. They're pooping on us, chat. They are pooping on us. China is farting on us, dude. Every day. Every day that I am alive. That's downloading Wukong in 15 seconds. Oh, yeah.
Actually, I watched it on Fox. I'm not allowed to say that. Say it?
Do you think he's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
The last time you were here, you were asked a question about the U.S. possibly launching a preemptive strike on Iran. You said you wouldn't answer that question.
On who?
Obviously, on Iran. The U.S. launching a preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear facilities.
And I said I don't talk about it. It's a military strategy.
But it is a legitimate question.
It's not really, because only a stupid person would answer it. Look, it's a military strategy, and I'm not answering your questions on military strategy. All right, one more. Brian, go ahead. Brian.
Could you give us a preview of what you might be talking to leaders of Congress who are expected to come here in the next couple of days? And you've got a very supportive Congress behind you.
They're great. So we have a wonderful Republican Congress. We have a leader that I have a lot of confidence in. I think he's going to be, hopefully, a great leader, a great speaker. And we have a leader, by the way, in the Senate I think has been great.
Honest question, because I don't know. Do they have widespread AC usage in China as they do in the U.S.? I don't know. China is very America-coded, so maybe in the Tier 1 cities. I've never been. Someone can shed light on that. But China is so American-coded in so many meaningful ways. Like, yes, they have public transit, but they also have a heavy car-reliant infrastructure. And I suspect that their Tier 1 cities are probably very similar to America and therefore have AC most likely.
Great. John Thune has been doing a fantastic job.
Have you even been to China? No, I haven't. That's what I just explained. I don't. We got very good public transit. I know. I said that they have very good public transit, but they also have like a web of super highways and things like that too.
And the question is whether or not we do the 2 bills or 1 bill. And look, I can live either way. I like the idea of the one big bill, but I can live either way. But they'll be coming down, and then ultimately we'll be meeting in the White House in a few weeks. But right now, this is the winter season. You know, they sort of call this the winter White House. It was built, I don't know if you know this, Marjorie Meriwether Post and E.F. Hutton built this. It was the greatest of all the estates in our country. And I saved it, and I got a lot of credit for saving it. Most of these big, great houses have been knocked down in Palm Beach. Just about all of them, actually. And they, you know, you'd build 10 mansions on one site, but we saved it. But this was built as the Southern White House, and she gave it to the government. And by the way, Jimmy Carter gave it back. He said it's too expensive for the United States. So I didn't realize that.
I was just told.
Actually, Jimmy Carter, Nixon was through Watergate. He came down. Nixon came here once, and he thought it was incredible. But he had a thing called Watergate, if anybody remembers that. And so he had other things on his mind, to put it mildly. And Jimmy Carter felt that it was too extravagant for the country. So fortunately for me, he gave it back to the foundation, and I bought it from the foundation.
On reconciliation, some Republicans saying in trade for a massive bill that you and they share the interest in, they want to see big spending cuts. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm okay with spending cuts. I like spending cuts. Just I'm on the record for spending cuts. And the debt ceiling was given to us. It shouldn't have been, but it was put in our lap. And what I want in terms of debt ceiling isn't the ceiling. I just don't want to see a default. That's all I want. I never talked about spending more money necessarily than all I want to see is no default, because nobody knows what would happen if there was a default. It could be 1929 and it could be nothing. But that was put into our lap, and it shouldn't have been, but it was. And so we'll handle it. But debt ceiling is not about raising a lot of money. It's really just about extending it. I just want to see an extension.
Sir, on immigration, how much can you do by executive order, are you planning to do on executive order when it comes to immigration? And how much do you want Congress to tackle this issue? And also on day one,
well, I had the safest border in the history of our country by far. You remember the famous chart that I brought down. I love that chart very much for a lot of reasons. But I have the safest border by far in the history of our country. And when I took it over, it was a mess. Nothing like it is now. This is 10 times worse. When I got elected because of the border the first time, and I think I got elected largely because of the border the third time. And the second time I did equally well. Well, not as well as the last time, but I did very well. And I will say, this was too big to rig. You know the expression? Too big to rig. They couldn't do it. They tried, but they couldn't do it. I didn't get very much from Congress at all. I just said that we're being invaded, and I took the money out of the military. Much of the wall, I built over 500 miles of wall. Much of that wall was built through money that I put into the military. We took it out because we couldn't get things from Congress in those days, and we took it out. And that wall was built largely with money coming from the military. So, very simple. I went to the military. I said, our country is being invaded by very similar, nothing like what's invading our country now. They weren't releasing prisons into our country, and they weren't releasing mental institutions in, but some bad dudes were coming in, right? And I said, our country is being invaded. And I took that money largely from the military. I was sued 9 times by the Democrats in Congress, and I won all those suits. And we ended up building 571 miles of wall. Once that wall was built, they started going around it. So we're going to add another 200. That would have been up in 3 weeks. And then we had a very unfortunate election result. And they said, we don't want to put it up. We'll sell it. And they started selling it for 5 cents on the dollar. What is that? So we'll do this again. I just want to thank everybody very much. I'm just telling you, this will be the golden age of America. This is the golden age of America. We're going to have a great country again. We're a country right now under siege. We have so many different problems, and nobody respects us overseas, but now they do. The Italian Prime Minister, as you know, came here the other night, just flew in and flew out. She wanted to see me. And great respect is being shown when I went to the cathedral in France. Great respect was shown by the Prime Minister, the President, by everybody. France was, and by the way, I have to say they did a great job in the cathedral. But great respect is being shown to our country again. And we have a great country, but we have to run it properly. It's going to be run properly. We want to get back those hostages for Israel and for us. You know, we do have people that are hostages being held. And I'll just say it again. If this deal's not done with the people representing our nation, by the time I get to office, all hell is going to break out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Ukraine-Russia war before you take office. Can you clarify what you mean by military force in the Panama Canal?
No. You were probably right. More than half of Chinese citizens have ACs. What'd I tell you? China is the world's leading user on, what the hell is this? Oh, it's the ad blocker. China is the world's leading user of air conditioning with approximately 569 million units in use countrywide. The country's formidable energy infrastructure, along with raising affordability, has helped fuel the widespread use of cooling systems. Dude, told you. 90% of US homes have AC. Only 60% of Chinese homes have AC. Yeah. Have you been to Europe? My point is, China is so American coded. Like, they're such Ameriboos in many ways that it wouldn't shock me China has 0.4 AC units per person, whereas America has 1.1. The ubiquity of air cooling is one thing America does better than any other country in the world. China just has more in gross. There are people that live in Phoenix, Arizona. I know. And even like a pro-China statement. This was more so to tell you that our greatest adversary is actually a lot closer in its attitudes towards consumption to us. That's all I was trying to say.
That was over an hour of Donald Trump giving a news conference, answering questions, and giving us some new information.
Unlike Eurocucks, unlike the Eurocucks that love to live in the heat for some weird reason, our Chinese counterparts are quite similar to us.
About what he intends to do, or at the very least is not ruling out when he takes office, including not ruling out a military invasion to conquer Greenland, the Panama Canal, and perhaps the annexation of the country of Canada. There is a lot more to discuss. We have a terrific panel here. Caitlin Collins, you are our chief White House correspondent, in addition to all of your other titles. What's that?
13 more days to go.
Yeah, okay. But you obviously been covering Donald Trump for a very long time. Before I get to you, I do want to play David Sanger, our friend at the New York Times, his question about the Panama Canal and on Greenland, and Donald Trump's response before you respond.
No, I can't assure you.
Have you ever researched Kowloon Walled City or played or heard of Shenmue? Yes to both, and I'm actually kind of obsessed with Kowloon Walled City, and I wish I was around. I wish I was around when it existed. I would have loved to visit. I don't know why. I know it's one of the scariest places or whatever at the time, and it was really, I know it was very dangerous. But having said that, I think there's something very cozy. I think there's something very cozy about living in the Kowloon Walled City. I don't know why. I'm just saying that that's how it feels. It feels like you're constantly surrounded by a blanket.
Holy shit, this is too exciting. In recent years, with the development of urban transportation, China has built many overpasses to reduce traffic congestion.
Hell yeah, baby. America on top.
Many of these overpasses are spectacular and complicated looking. Some of them are more exciting than roller coasters. Dense lanes of traffic crisscross the streets.
Only an American would look at this and go, you know what these superhighways, are just like roller coasters. So exciting. I'm sorry, this is the worst kind of autism to have. Okay, trains are like the highest level of autism you can have. That's good. But if you're invested in superhighways, like if you have superhighway autism, like you are the worst. I mean, it must be great though, honestly. Like you're having the time of your life, dude. Imagine living in LA and having highway autism. Oh my God. Oh my God. One more lane. You don't even have to say please one more lane. Like train autists have to go far away, away from big city centers to go and even see a goddamn train sometimes. Whereas you could just sit in the middle of Los Angeles and not even wish for one more lane. Why then do you laud China's meteoric rise when they have a heavily consumerist culture and are doing nothing but spread global socialist movement like the U.S. and are doing nothing to spread global socialist movements like the USSR did during the Cold War? Do you believe having a multipolar world is just inherently good? Well, two things. The first, one, I like the heavy consumerist culture. I live in America. I don't have an issue with luxury goods or whatever. I actually think it's a perfect way to pacify people without actually engaging in direct harm. Okay. I myself like the concept of treats. I would not consider myself to be a treatlerite, okay, like many Americans are, but I do value the pacifying impact that treats have. Accessible treats. So that's number one. Number two, in terms of not doing anything to spread global socialist movements like the USSR did during the Cold War, very bad for China. I agree. And it's something that I do criticize quite frequently. Not that it matters, really. And last but not least, do I believe having a multipolar world is just inherently good? It depends on what the other poles are doing. Okay? I don't think that it's inherently good. If America was actually the global unifying hegemon that it presents itself as, and not a violent, dare I say, fascist, bloodthirsty empire that has its tentacles in every orifice, firmly entrenched in the global south, extracting natural resources and consistently keeping the global south population servile for its own treat interest, then yeah, I would say that's great. Who cares if there's one pole or two poles or multi-poles, you know? Now, as far as my conversation about China, I see China as I see, I don't know, like I use examples of Norway all the time, right? When talking about the direction that we should move towards, like the nationalization of the extraction industry. Why is it that you, delayed autistic guppy, and many other Americans don't ever take issue with that when I mention that? But as soon as I point to something that the Chinese government is doing that I think we should learn lessons from, everybody goes, whoa, 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 one quintillion people China killed. Hello, you wanna kill all the crows. You want a cultural revolution. You want struggle sessions in every corner. You want everyone to be eating dim sum. What the hell's going on? I mean, I didn't say any of that. I point to other countries that are, doing good things and bad things. And I hope that Americans can learn, lessons of good governance from other countries. Also, mandatory dim sum Mondays does bang, honestly. That sounds amazing. We in Norway going towards you Americans, though. More privatization, and we're getting very right-wing government next election. No, I know. I'm just saying that, like, it's like pointing to the NHS and saying that while it is in a dire situation, it does not matter. Ultimately, it's a significantly better version of healthcare than the one that we have. The argument isn't that Norway's amazing, okay, and does everything right. I'm saying that there are other countries out there that are doing things that we could be doing as well. And I utilize China as a good example as well. I am of the mindset, and I mean this with all sincerity, that if China was not initially considered a foreign adversary, but was like a country comprised of mostly white people, and was always like historically within the bosom of American empire, we would never in a million years talk about how bad it is. I mean, there are, like, France is a great example. Look at the way that France has dominated its African colonies to this day. There is never a peep about that. Okay? Nobody ever talks about that because, or not crows, sparrows, I apologize. Yes, killing the sparrows. Like, we do a whole bunch of evil around the planet, and many of our foreign allies engage in similar acts as well. But we just don't ever have the same critical lens that we do, that we extend to our foreign adversaries. This doesn't mean that our foreign adversaries are doing good. I think it just like freaks people out when I look at China as another country that sometimes does bad and sometimes does good. Does that make sense? That's it. No nation is altruistic. All nations are, if there's one nation that's like the closest to an altruistic one, I would say it's Cuba. But outside of that, no nation is like purely, there's no purely altruistic nation. It just doesn't, every nation is self-interested. The problem is America is also self-interested, except it doesn't even, its bounty does not even distribute back to its citizens evenly. Okay? That's it. Ireland is also somewhat also altruistic, I guess, close to it. Israel, hello. Yeah, Israel, the most altruistic nation, altruistically dishing out bombs.
You on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal.
Okay, so the question is, Caitlin, Donald Trump trying to negotiate and posturing and warning them, and how much do you really think he means it, particularly given the fact that a big part of his consistent campaign message for 8 years has been, I'm going to get us out of wars?
Well, I mean, it was an extraordinary moment, one of the most extraordinary moments of that press conference, where he was refusing to rule out using military force to retake the Panama Canal, something that he himself brought up, I should note, in this press conference when a reporter later asked, why are you bringing this up? Obviously, it's a signature achievement of Jimmy Carter's. He's about to be lying in state here in Washington. Trump said he was asked about it, but Trump brought it up in his opening remarks. It's something that he's been quite fixated on behind the scenes, from what I've heard from sources in the past few weeks on this issue, complaining about Chinese influence. Obviously, this was a signature achievement of Jimmy Carter's. He believed it improved relations with Latin America for the United States, and still, it's one of his biggest accomplishments that people talk about. But Trump there saying that he would not rule out using military force to retake it is not something that should be treated as with bluster. I mean, Trump is coming into this White House and is intentionally staffing his administration with aides who will not block what he wants to do or what he ultimately seeks. There were many instances in his first term where he wanted to do something, but advisors either convinced him not to, or Republican lawmakers did. That is not going to be the same Washington that we are encountering in 13 days from now when Trump takes office. So I would treat everything he said there quite seriously. I mean, moments after he said he wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that she's going to advocate for that. But I do want to say, one of the biggest things that stood out to me from that press conference, from moments when Trump got out there before he even started taking questions, is the level of anger.
He's really agitated.
Well, we know why. He made it quite clear a few moments in. It's two things. It's his legal issues overall, but it's the sentencing that he is facing on Friday that so far is still, Judge Merchan has denied efforts to delay it. His attorneys are still working to do so. And two, it's this report by Jack Smith that we are told is imminent and is going to come out. Trump was informed during that Judge Cannon down in Florida has tried to temporarily block that. Well, it's not a settled matter. We'll see if it's successful. But his level of anger over that is unmistakable. He has not been this angry since he won the election.
And John, I wanted to intentionally start a little bit micro on Panama and on Greenland, particularly since his son is in Greenland as we speak. But I do want to sort of open it up a little and talk big picture about your takeaway from, as Caitlin just said.
It is remarkable. Somebody who is 2 weeks from resuming the presidency of the United States, who, whether you voted for him or not, whether you like him or not, just engineered a remarkable historical political comeback, is so whiny and so full of grievances. Now, that is Donald Trump's trademark. That has been his trademark since he came down that escalator. He uses grievance to keep his people together, to keep his base together, and to keep his team loyal. But he came out, clearly, his lawyers had access to the Jack Smith report at a private meeting here in Washington, D.C. They have briefed him on it. He is going to now try to use every legal power he can to prevent its release. You could see how angry he was about it. There's the sentencing on Friday. He was beating up on Joe Biden, who, yes, is using his powers on the way out to sign executive orders to do things that Donald Trump fundamentally disagrees with.
As Trump also did.
As Trump also did. Welcome to American politics. But talking about how he's inheriting a mess. He's inheriting the strongest economy in the world. It has troubles, it has potholes, it has issues, but he's inheriting the strongest economy in the world. And the Biden team is working with him, as Donald Trump's own negotiator acknowledged, on the very difficult issues in the Middle East, about hostage releasing and about trying to finally bring about a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. His negotiator was very polite and respectful of the Biden administration. Trump was quite scornful and not factual.
Can I just say, I thought that was like a bookend to the interview Susie Wiles did, who was also very respectful when she talked to Axios about Jeff Zients, the current White House chief of staff. So you have Steve Witkoff on one end talking about working so well with the Biden team in tandem on an issue as fraught as trying to get these hostages out. You had Susie Wiles on the front end yesterday saying that the chief of staff, the current Biden chief of staff, is doing everything very kind. And yet, in the middle of all that, you have Donald Trump trying to gin up this notion, to your point about grievance, saying that they're throwing everything at this to make this a very difficult transition.
Everybody's still out to get him. He just won an election, and then he questioned the election again, too. It was too big to rig, he said. He won the election. He won the popular vote. He should be celebrating. He should be coming into Washington. Yes, he has very narrow majorities in the House and the Senate. It's going to be difficult to get things done, but this should be someone who is upbeat and happy to come in, but he is still full of grievances because it is his organizing principle. But there are a lot of lies in there. That was a trailer. That was an hour-long trailer for the next 4 years, in that he tells a lot of lies. He hedges, he exaggerates and hypes a lot of things. But
I forgot that it's still sped up.
He also made a ton of news.
You are Turkish. This is true.
There, you're right. You're right about the idea that it's posturing, but
I think defending Biden to this degree, or is still at this day, is pretty cool.
The idea that he couldn't rule out using either economic leverage or military force to take Greenland and the Panama Canal. He says he's going to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Mm-hmm. Canada, our closest friend in the world, our neighbor to the north, a giant economic...
Okay, here's another prediction. I've been sporadically splicing predictions, okay, throughout the past couple of days. I think that one here, I'll put these in my notes app as I go along, okay? Predictions. Number one, okay? Trump gets Bibi to secure hostage deal where North Gaza is permanently annexed, only to re-up plus rearm Israel as it increases its hostilities in West Bank to perma-annex West Bank. Obviously, this is a gimme. Trump, Elon, fallout, crash and burn. Another prediction that I've had consistently, some of these are going to come across as like, I'm actually, actually you've heard these before, and that's because I've been saying them for a while. Okay. So you're going to be very familiar with them. Okay. Trump, Elon, fallout, crash and burn. The other thing I was going to say, frick. Aggressive prosecution, indirect violation of First Amendment over pro-Palestinian sentiment, worse than even Brandon. Mamala writes her book. Yeah, Mamala writes her book. It sucks. Everyone makes fun of her. In parentheses, career over. What was I gonna say? Oh. Absolutely no hashtag liberal resistance. No lib resistance this time. Trump and Trumpian far right politics are now the norm. Institutions that previously would present themselves as liberal now behave openly and outwardly right wing. Okay. Mass deportation initiatives are started, but inevitably, yeah, I found them, but I don't know. What is this? Mass deportation issues are started, but never reached the numbers Trump promises, since it's quite negatively impactful on the economy. RFK dies in a very weird way where it takes a long time to figure out what did it. That's a joke prediction, okay? What else? Trump gives BB to secure a hostage deal where North Gaza is permanently annexed only to re-up and rearm Israel as it increases hostilities in West Bank to permanently annex West Bank. Aggressive prosecution in direct violation of First Amendment over pro-Palestinian sentiment, worse than even Brandon. Mamala writes her book, It Sucks. Everyone makes fun of her. Career over. No lib resistance this time. Trump and Trumpian far-right politics are now the norm. Institutions that previously would present themselves as liberal now behave openly and outwardly right-wing. Trump, Elon, fallout, crash and burn. Mass deportation initiatives are started but never reached the numbers Trump promises, since it's quite negatively impactful on the economy. RFK dies in a very weird way where it takes a long time to figure out what did it. Telephone off. Oh, I forget. This is like 2025 predictions. This is just for the year. Well, there are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen. So pepper in a few more happy ones. There are no happy predictions. The country is on the pooper. The world is on the pooper. The institution thing already happened with Meta. Take that prediction off. Okay. Like I said, some of these things I've already been predicting for a while. Okay. That's a repeat. Me saying institutions that would previously present themselves as liberal now behave outwardly right-wing is not a new thing that I've said. I've been saying that. That's why I said some of the stuff that I'm talking about, you will obviously say, well, you know, and it's because I've said it before. What else? Bro, trying to gatekeep obvious predictions. I mean, yeah, all predictions are obvious if you spend enough time in here. China doesn't attack Taiwan. Now, that's an interesting one. I was a hardliner on that last year, but here's what I think. And this goes along with my predictions in general, but it's like, this is a broad one. It's not just for 2025, but like, we are fully gearing up for war with China. liberals who previously critiqued Trump will defend him on his initiatives in this direction. Also, I think the Trump and Elon crash and burn, many people think it's going to be over. People think it's going to be over narcissism. Oh, fuck, I don't know how to spell it. Whatever. People think it's because Elon, they're thin-skinned, but it's actually also going to be over China. And Elon's connection to China. Anyway, this is like some of it. I'll add more to this. I don't think Canada will not be annexed into the U.S. Security agreements over Panama and maybe Greenland. No annexation. PP victory for Canada. Does Elon have a connection to China? He has a massive Tesla factory in Shanghai. I'm on too many medications to become a state. Good luck. I think your annexation predictions are going to turn out like Ukraine versus Russia. You think we're going to annex Canada? I find that really strange, but who knows? Depending on how EU reacts, either American hegemony is permanently shattered, or their fears of China cause the EU to also treat Trump like a savior. Europe far right swing continues. What else? At least one very devastating natural disaster. At least one massively consequential natural disaster. I mean, that's again a lock, but Clarence Thomas definitely, retires. Will happen. Natural disaster is basically the free space. You're right on bingo. It's literally a free space. I feel like the Midwest is getting major tornadoes in the next year or so. That's bullshit. You have to predict minimum number of natural disaster. I'm telling you, it's one. At least one. I'm feeling 3, but I'm not. I'm going to say at least one. Okay, for Death Watch. Oh, wait. As far as like celebrities and culture goes, more celebrities are openly Trump. I think there will be like a Me Too 2.0, but I don't think it's going to happen yet. I think that the incredible amount of hostility towards the first Me Too movement is going to set the stage for a second Me Too. But not this year, so I'm going to delete that. I don't think it's going to happen this year. But I'm saying it like it's going to be Me 2.0, but like I think we're just simply we're laying the groundwork for it. This one is actually interesting, but TikTok doesn't get banned. That's more so just a fingers crossed prediction, honestly. What about the ICC? BB doesn't get locked up by the ICC. Trump will go to great lengths to protect Israel. That's another free space one, basically. What else? Oh, for deaths, Death Watch, Joe Byron, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, already dead. I should say Pack Watch instead of Death Watch. This is just predictions. I'm not saying this is a good thing, okay? Luigi Mangione prediction. Yeah, that's also not a fun one, so I don't want to say. You think there will be a wait? I don't think Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. That's what I think. I think GTA 6 was pushed back. Marvel's Rivals Dead or Alive in a year. Ooh, that's a good one. I think Marvel Rivals is dead in a year. It'll take less than a year. It'd be awesome if I'm wrong on that one, though. If it's like still the meta. Define Dead, Overwatch 2 style. Is that good enough? It'll have an active player base, but broad interest will be gone. Yeah, right now it's like on fire. You're saying that, but check this out. What is this? Oh my God. Okay, I take back what I said. Marvel Rivals still very much alive. I don't think the ICJ court case ends this year. I think if Valorant survived this long, Marvel Rivals will also. I want to see the back of the skin. A crumb of positivity. There is none. I might be wrong on this, but I feel like we are now at the precipice of like liberals completely opening up their arms. I mean, look, I'll say this. I'll say this. I'll say this. I'll say this. Okay. Trump sucks will cause the right-wing content market to continue growing, but will set the stage for their inevitable demise. Like, what I mean by that is this year you'll see growth in the right-wing movement and mobilization online, okay? You'll see people soaring, but I think eventually by year two, they will realize this shit sucks. Like all the anti-trans, anti-woke content that we put together didn't really change anything. And that our lives are still kind of shit. That's what I think. Back of the skin. Oh.